All right, I'm starting the stream and recording now.
Okay, and Marty, go ahead.
All right. Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 171, recorded on March 15th, 2018. On tonight's episode, we discuss the latest 5.0 update for Nintendo Switch. Unfortunately, we have to break some bad news about Toys R Us, though you've probably already heard it. And we're excited to welcome special guest Filip Miucin, host of IGN's Nintendo Voice Chat podcast. Guys, cue the music.
Chirp, 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 chirp.
Insert music there.
Yeah, I need I always forget to have a pen and paper so I can note timestamps. So give me a minute. Go ahead.
Sure. Okay.
Go for it.
You ready? You're okay? Okay, perfect. Hey, everyone. Welcome. It is March 16th, 2019. When you're listening to this podcast, my name is Justin Masson, the host of Nintendo Dads, and you are tuned into one of the best Nintendo podcasts on the internet. And joining me today are some fantastic guests, and some normal co-hosts. Let's first start off with the mouth from the south, Mr. Marty Estes. How are you today, sir?
I am fantastic, even though I have had a terrible week.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
This is like an oasis in the midst of a sewage-filled creek.
Sure. Well, that's a very descriptive.
I worked on it for a while.
There you go. Well, and then, of course, joining us is Mr. King of VG Tribune. You may know him as Eric, but I think he's cool. His name is Jesse Waldak. Jesse, how are you today, sir?
I still don't know where that whole Eric thing came from. But speaking of sewage, I've been playing with some plumbing and pipes, trying to cut PVC and not having much luck. And I finally had my 16-year-old daughter give it a try, and she was able to figure it out. So the handyman, I am not.
Fair enough. And your daughter still has all her fingers, toes, and limbs?
Yes.
Well, there we go then. That's half the battle. And speaking of a man who probably is starting his own small indie podcast with a very new video game website up and coming, of course, is Mr. Filip Miucin, host of NVC, the Nintendo Voice Chat podcast, and of course the editor of Nintendo on IGN. Is that right, Filip?
Yeah, that's it. Very, very glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me today.
Fantastic. And like we said, it's a very indie podcast, small website. I'm sure, hopefully you guys will get bigger in the future. Works out for you as well.
We're working on it. Yeah,
Really
one day we'll be there.
Absolutely. But yeah, Filip, we are, all jesting aside, we are absolutely so excited to have you here. This is huge for us. And you're kind of alumni or amongst alumni as well. Per Schneider joined us a couple of years ago as well. So it was great. But we're going to break down some of the news, get your opinions about it, and definitely talk about your experience in the Nintendo world right now. We've got some questions from fans, and obviously, what is it like to be a parent? Much as we all are parents, but how does that work for your job? How do you balance that with Nintendo? We saw you had some time with your son in Labo, so we're going to talk about that as well. So let's break right into the news. And Marty, of course, who is the news brought to us by?
Well, the news is brought to us by our friends, you listeners, over at patreon.com. And we just want to thank you guys for all your support. No new patrons this week, but I do want to promo this. On Saturday, we're dropping our new AMA chat Q&A that I and my wife filmed today. I will go ahead and this is a little preview. It includes one of the most embarrassing stories of my entire life.
That's fantastic.
Because it involves Nintendo. It involves Christmas when I was 8 years old. And it may or may not involve bodily functions. I'll just leave it there.
If there is a reason to subscribe to be a Patreon member, that is it right there. The exclusivity of is what happens to Marty during Christmas involving bodily functions.
There you
All
go.
right. So let's jump right into the news, folks. This news week it's kind of a little bit light, but there was some big news we want to highlight. And one of the first things that actually, Philip, it actually came to my attention from a post that you had put out was that the Nintendo parenting app got an update, and in the very bottom scroll line said 5.0 required for some of these functions. The internet goes wild. Oh my gosh, we're getting a 5.0 update for the Nintendo Switch. This must be coming at E3. We must be getting all these magical, fantastic updates. And lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, it does arrive early. We're all happy. It's early Christmas. A couple days later, to perhaps the least fanfare I have ever heard for 5.0 update. Philip, we had the 5.0. We had some new icons that came in, some social media hooks, and some updates to the parental guide. Anything else stand out from you from this 5.0 update that occurred?
Yeah. you know, this update, it's a little underwhelming. Let's put it that way. That's to put it nicely, I guess. A lot of people were hoping more, obviously, because we're rounding out to a whole number again. We're at 5.0, and you know, people wanted custom themes, or they wanted you know, a better chat system or something like that. But we didn't get any of that stuff. We're still waiting for whatever reason. However, I think that there's a little bit more to this update than meets the eye, I guess, and that's completely on purpose by Nintendo standards, and that's okay, really. But the main reason I think that this update exists and exists so soon is just to protect the Switch from like security flaws, essentially. So what I've sort of found through like investigating internet forums and all that stuff, that journalistic work that I try and do, is that Nintendo is potentially getting ready to sort of stealthily release a new processor for the Switch, is what I'm guessing. Okay. Yeah, because the Tegra processor itself that the Switch currently runs on right now is, it's great, it's awesome, but it's showing a lot of vulnerabilities right now. And hackers are obviously, if you've been following, you know, you'll know that they've cracked it essentially, and they've broken into it. And so now
it pretty much was had minor stuff done to it on day one due to known Tegra vulnerabilities.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, I really think that Nintendo's gearing up to release sort of like how Sony did with the PlayStation 3, just a slightly upgraded chipset for Switch. And this update sort of gets that ready. And then we also got controller updates for Joy-Cons, too, which I think is really interesting. They didn't mention any of that other than they were available. And I really can't imagine them being for anything other than like just preparing Switch for Labo, just getting those sort of updates handy and ready. So, yeah, but, you know, interestingly enough, I think it's purely speculation on my part. Obviously, please only take this with a grain of salt. But that's sort of what the community is wondering right now, or is suspecting that Switch is getting ready for sort of a you know, unknown, unspoken hardware change.
Right. Yeah,
we'll
absolutely.
See.
Yeah. Now, I do want to, you know, and I do think you're right that there is probably a lot more background to that, you know, in the back end and that's setting that up. One of the things I would say that I did find very interesting was some of the functional additions they did add to the parenting app. And I don't know if you guys kind of dug into it a little bit at all, but they actually added a whitelist feature. And I thought this was really cool. So currently, giving a quick highlight for the whitelist feature, people, you can basically put your Nintendo Switch into parental control. Let's say it's, I don't know, age 7, based on your region, based on that. You can have your entire system locked at that, but you can actually specifically whitelist games that you want outside of that actual parental control that allows you to jump into it. I tested this on my own device. I had locked basically everything down to a child's level, which I essentially couldn't get into anything, and then chose one game. I think I used ARMS, which we knew had a higher rating, and was able to get into it very easily. So I thought this was a really nice kind of, from a parental perspective, a great aspect to add as well. I think they're making some slight tweaks to that, the app as well. I think it's great. Philip, as a father yourself, do you use the parental app much at all, or what?
No, actually, I don't. Not as much as I should. It's my girlfriend that should be monitoring that, just because she actually lives with our son right now. I'm actually out here alone in San Francisco until they come and join me. But I have messed with the parental app on my own Switch, and you know, I like it. I think it's great, and I think that the whitelist feature is something that was definitely needed. So yeah, I'm all for that stuff. I think it's great.
Can I ask a question right here? Like the whitelist part of it, is that for certain profiles? Like if I want to whitelist, say, Bayonetta, can I whitelist Bayonetta for my account but not for my son's account?
It appears to still only be at system level. Because
if that's not the case, then it's useless to me.
Yeah, it appears.
And I hate to say that because, you know, I know they're trying, but that it seems like such a simple thing. You know, that
but again,
they would be able to have
nothing stopping your kid from logging in on your profile. So
that's true.
Completely bypassing it.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. You know, I went back, guys, as we were talking about this, and just searched for Nintendo Switch Update 4.0, and just to see the contrast, you know, of what we'd gotten with 4.0, what we gotten with 5.0, and it was huge. 4.0 was where we got video recording. It was also where wireless headphone support was added to the Switch, and it came along with that. And of course, it launched with only 4 games to begin with, the video recording. But there was a pretty big and meaty update compared to this, which is, I guess, as Philip was saying, is a little more under the hood, a little more back end stuff. But maybe there is some more stuff there. The speculation was set up for. The speculation was set up for everything. It might as well been, 5.0 is a new character in Smash. But like it was everything. It's like, they're setting up for Virtual Console. They're setting up for the new Nintendo online service. They're setting up for this. They're setting up for that. And all we got was some Kirby pictures, and your Pro controller is now colored on when you use it, which that's a cool touch. But
I initially thought that this update could partially be server-based, which could be a potential thing too. That there are those features. Those features did come with it. However, Nintendo just needs to unlock them for us to have. But now the more that I think about it, the more that I think, why wouldn't they just release like a later update? I mean, they're Nintendo after all, completely unpredictable at times.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if around E3 time, or maybe just around time that online launches in September, we get that update, because that update is absolutely necessary before online hits.
Yeah.
We know it's coming before September. So.
I will say that I was kind of disappointed in this update, because I was really, really hoping for cloud saves or being able to put my save data on an SD card.
Yeah. Oh man, the Switch so needs cloud saves. Like my friend John, he actually has a YouTube channel too, Spawnwave. His Switch just broke, and it broke from the Nyko charger, the third-party charger that's been just breaking switches left and right. Don't put your Switch in it. Just don't. It's not worth it. Because if it breaks, you lose all your saves, and that's just the worst thing. I mean, it's bad enough you have to buy another Switch, but I can't imagine ever having to do like all those Zelda shrines all over again. As much as I love that game, it was tedious enough the first time, So.
It was heartbreaking about a month ago. I know when Brian sent his in, you guys did kind of an episode on that conversation as well, to hear the deflatedness in Brian's voice regarding his as well. Like, you could just sound like a man who had been punched in the gut for sure. So again, guys, 5.0 is out there. If you haven't, update your Switch, and update your Joy-Cons too, and your controllers. That's a little thing.
I didn't even think to check, so I checked it after it was mentioned, and they have the Joy-Cons had a firmware update too.
Yep, absolutely.
Pear's still updating his Joy-Cons, right?
Oh God, yeah, probably, yeah. I mean, he's got
how many?
So many of those things. 1,000, I think. About a house full of them. Yeah.
Just go over there and rent them whatever you want. Interesting news that's coming out, guys, is Toys R Us has actually told their U.S. employees they're planning to close all the U.S. stores by 2018. Now, this is actually kind of a big news. It's Nintendo related in some ways. I don't know about the rest of you, but I grew up with Toys R Us up in Canada, and that was where I bought a lot of my Nintendo games. My very first Nintendo console was at a Toys R Us. I remember the store in Calgary, going to pick it up and grabbing that large box. This is kind of actually a pretty large hit for big box stores, and where younger families engage with the Nintendo Switch or video game consoles in general. So I think this is kind of a bit of a sad point. Philip, did you partake in visiting of the Toys R Us very often? Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, not often, but every single time I got a chance to go, it was like going to Disneyland. You know what I mean? Those are the memories I have. So I'm incredibly sad that we're going to live in a world very soon where just toy stores are a thing of the past, those are going to be, we're going to tell our kids, hey, one day we had to go to the store to buy toys, and they're just going to call us old and laugh at us.
My kids box
by some mailman every day.
My kids already call me old.
Yeah, there you go.
I will never forget the feeling. I tweeted about this today, but I will never forget that feeling of holding that little slip of paper. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you pay for it, and you walk over to the magical merchandise claim area, and you hand the man or the woman your Mega Man 4 or Mega Man 6, whatever you're buying, and you watch them walk into that magical place of those tiny windows where all the systems were stacked up against it,
Yeah.
And they come back and they hand you that box. It was the best.
I think the first game
it was the best.
the first game I actually paid money for myself I think was at a Toys R Us. It was Castlevania 2.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
We're all sorry. So yeah, so guys, Toys R Us are
a terrible night to go to Toys R Us.
Yeah, Toys R Us are shutting down. If you have not, go in there, enjoy the area, walk around, take a look at the store. I always found Toys R Us always had this unique smell to it as well. Maybe it's just the ones I grew up in, but they all kind of smelled the same. But it was interesting.
Smells like kids and cardboard.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. A couple other things happened this week to kind of make people aware of. Huge amount of indie games got released or announcements this week. So we've got Runner 3. We've got an actual release date on last day of June, coming out actually today, March 16th. RE Legend, which was a Kickstarter game, coming to the Switch. Runbow gets a digital release. Pirate Pop Plus gets a digital release. Tokotora gets a release. And Shantae is coming on March 20th as well. So a ton of games coming for indies. I don't know. I'm going to ask maybe Philip, go to you. There's so many games on this console. Like it's mad. I don't know. Are you guys buried in work essentially? Like,
yeah. I mean, it's so many games that it's really at times hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's it's a good thing. My only fear for Switch is I love these indie games that are showing up, and a lot of them are really great. But my only fear is that like we're just going to get so overwhelmed with so much. Just randomness at times. Like if you look at stores like Steam, for instance, Steam was doing really well because it was doing a great job of what the Switch is doing right now, which is just bringing light to indie games or indie titles that people just don't get an opportunity to notice. But now Steam's sort of become the overcrowded store, and Switch is the selective store where good games are showing up on this console. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like my biggest fear is that Switch doesn't turn into that too eventually, and it seems like it's happening at a accelerated rate because not every game that shows up on the eShop is a great game. Let's be honest. There are some that are just very questionable. Room in the Night Sky comes to mind instantly. So
and I have one that I want to talk about later on. That is
yeah, and it just kind of it just for me
sewage.
Questions it makes me question like Nintendo's mentality with like whatever happened to that quality seal of approval kind of thing. I wish that there was a more like a better filter system that they could or approval system that they could work into for the eShop.
Right.
But it's not necessarily a problem yet.
Yeah, it does definitely feel like Nintendo has kind of said the doors are wide open. We will take anything, and I've kind of scrolled through the coming soon section. I was like, what's there, and what kind of piques our interest. And I've seen some trailers for games that are very questionable from a content perspective as well, saying like, oh wow, Nintendo's comfortable with this type of content now. I've seen some very kind of R-rated content already that shocked me.
This week has been the first week in a very long time that I have not found something on the new releases of the eShop that made me just say, I need that. So it was good to have a little bit of a breather this week, even though I'm going to buy Kirby.
Yeah, sure.
And that's fine. But like, as far as indie titles go, cause I've made myself like commit to finishing at least 2 to 3 games on my backlog every month.
Yes. Yeah.
So that I can kind of pare down. And so I did that with Bayonetta this week, and I'm working on a couple of others right now, but man, that's part of the issue wrapped up in the whole wanting different save options is that I'm on my second SD card of storage for the Switch, and the save state data is very, very full.
Yeah, they'll do it for sure. Yeah. Philip, out of all the games that are kind of, I rambled off a ton there for the indies, and obviously we just had a Nintendo Direct recently that announced a bunch of games. Is there any game that has not yet been announced that you would really love to see come to the Switch? I mean, it can be indie, it can be big title, whatever it is. What are you like, man, I'm really hoping I'm going to see that on a press release soon?
Okay. Can I say 2?
You know what? Hey, you're the guest.
2 games?
Typically we only say 1, but I like you enough. You get 2. Absolutely,
thank
2
you
games.
So much. All right, okay. So I'm a huge Metroid fan, and I absolutely cannot wait for Metroid Prime 4. So one thing that I was like almost certain that Nintendo would have announced leading up to sort of the anticipation of Metroid Prime is Metroid Prime Trilogy for Switch. I would have loved to see that. And I know that like there are a lot of people out there that are hesitant of ports, coming to Switch, and that's totally fine. But that's one port that I feel like would be just perfect for Switch right now, especially while, Metroid fans like myself are waiting for Prime 4 to come in. And that's not to say that it's not coming, because it definitely still could be on its way. At some point. We don't even have a set release date for Metroid. Right. So that's the first one. The second one, I really want Star Fox. Like, I really want Star Fox on Switch. But not Star Fox like we've seen Star Fox. I'd rather have, and we spoke about this a little bit on my show too, but I'd really want Star Fox in like with the Breath of the Wild engine in like an open world setting where you can just take off and land and go to different planets. I think that would be an amazing game, obviously, on Switch. So yeah,
that'd be awesome.
No Man's Fox.
I was going to say Mass Effect, but
that's fantastic. I like that. Who would you want to develop that if you could pick any developer to?
Oh, man.
Again, we'll use the Breath of the Wild engine, assuming it can be like easily like handed over in like a zip file, pretty much. But like, who's the dev who's getting your hands on that? Is anyone you want?
It would probably be impossible to happen at this point. But I would like a dream dev for that would be rare. But obviously that's never going to happen. So
yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind if Retro made it. Honestly, I think Retro is more than capable of doing it. So
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. Very cool. So now you mentioned a little bit of, speaking of ports, in a game that since last week has been rumored. Is it a port? Is it not a port? What qualifies to be a port? What's going on? Super Smash Brothers. Of course, this was announced at the Nintendo Direct, Smash Brothers for the Switch. I don't think it's still working title, whatever it is at this point. Guys, how are we feeling about, the hype for this thing? In a lot of ways, I really just hope they don't miss this target. I hope it comes out in 2018 because I don't want to hear about Smash for the entire, the rest of my life about this game. Because, I don't know about you, but my Twitter feed, everything I see is Smash, Smash, Smash. And Philip, I had I listened to last week's NBC and had a great laugh when, I think it was Pear or Brian who's like, it's been 5 minutes since we talked about Smash. Can we talk about Smash again?
Yeah.
So God bless you for your amazing hosting skills, by the way, to direct that conversation. So...
Thank you.
That was quite something, but I don't know if we've actually we have still not got a full information whether this is or is not a port yet, have we?
No, nothing confirmed that I know of.
I'm not expecting we'll hear anything new until E3.
Yeah,
probably not.
They just kind of flew over and dropped the bomb and kept going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as they well done on them, I think, because now we're all talking about it. Like you said, your Twitter feed is filled up. We're all talking about if it's a port. Well, who are the characters? What's the roster look like? Yeah. And I think that was a genius plan on Nintendo's part. But to go back to if it is a port or not, I think that this is definitely not a port for Smash. Just all signs indicate that this is a new game to me, even though Nintendo hasn't gone out and said it officially. So I think that people should definitely expect an exciting new roster. Maybe it'll look exactly the same or very close to how it looked on Wii U, because I'm sure that they'll reuse a lot of the assets just to save time with development, even though we don't know how long they've been developing this for. This could have been in the works for 3-4 years now, but I think that it is a new game, and maybe the roster won't be as big as we'd like at first. This is a game that I imagine is going to get a ton of DLC in the future. Mm-hmm. We've seen Nintendo being super supportive of DLC with titles like Splatoon and ARMS. They've gotten tons of free updates, and obviously Smash has received DLC before in the past that has been immensely successful. So I think Nintendo just wants to capitalize on that, and that's fine. And I think we'll get a Smash that receives a ton of free updates, but I also think that we'll get a ton of really enticing paid DLC, coming to that. So I also think it'd be interesting to see Smash turning into sort of a games as a service, where it becomes its own platform, and we don't necessarily, if this is Smash 5, we don't necessarily get a Smash 6 anytime soon. They just build off of this, kind of like Overwatch or something like that.
Okay. So what else would be in that paid service platform that you're thinking there?
Just a constant flow of characters, regular updates of DLC.
Okay.
Every few months, and new stages, new modes, stuff like that coming in, and they're constantly doing different events. Just like Destiny, just like Overwatch, just like what's everyone playing? Fortnite, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
See, I think that would be fantastic too. And the only pushback I have on that is that that's what everybody wants them to do with Mario Kart, especially with Mario Kart Deluxe now coming to the Switch, and they're not doing it. Like they could have just like if they had really wanted to just like send this last direct into absolute orbit that it would never come back from, drop Mario Kart DLC on top of all that other stuff. And maybe they're going to do that eventually too. But I mean, so many people are asking for, like, just looking at Nintendo and saying, we will pay you for more tracks. Please release something else, release more characters. And, at least when they dropped that, we at least got new characters, but a couple of new tracks would have been nice. But like, they're going to milk this game for every bit that it's worth. I can't remember. I read somewhere or heard somewhere over the past week how much people paid for Smash 4 when it was done, and it was over, I think it was over $150. I know.
I think I ended up paying for everything on Wii U.
Yeah.
So like I think it may have been well over 200. So that there's going to be, and I do like, and I do agree with what you're saying, that roster when it first starts is probably going to be small. We've seen incremental updates with Splatoon. We've seen incremental updates with ARMS. Why do we not think they're going to do that with this?
Yeah.
Right.
And it may be simply because Sakurai's at the helm of it, and he's not the one driving that. But then again, Nintendo's business practices might get in the way of that too. The only thing I worry about is that, like, some of the more fan favorite characters that got released in DLC toward the end of Smash 4, we're not going to see those again.
So you mean someone like a Cloud, for example?
Like, I would say Cloud. I think Cloud may go the way of Snake. Bayonetta may go the way of Snake. Although with Bayonetta 3 coming out,
they may keep her.
Yeah,
they may keep her.
So
I heard a lot of people, like, as soon as they announced it, a lot of people were already complaining about it. Like, oh crap, Bayonetta is going to be in it. It's going to be OP again, But I don't know. So, I do. Whoever said it, I think you're right. We're gonna hear about the first firm details of this at E3.
Yeah.
I had an awful thought when games as a service was brought up. What if they take the MOBA approach, where you get a rotating cast of characters that you can only choose from unless you then pay for it to unlock it permanently?
Ooh.
That's a dirty thought. That is terrible.
Oh man!
I think we should kick Jesse off this call right now.
You're welcome.
Oh man, like a free-to-play Smash, that would just set the internet on fire.
Oh, yeah. That's
no.
Mario for $9.99.
Hard no.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So while we're still on the Smash topic a little bit, were you a big Smash player at all, Philip, or how do you feel about it?
I love Smash. Yeah, I've always loved Super Smash Brothers, but I was never very good at it. That's the one thing. Yeah, I always tended to play like the single player stuff a lot. Like I really loved like the story mode things that were going on. So I really hope we see more of that coming to this new Smash. I hope they capitalize on that as well. But I have a feeling that this Smash is going to be all about online. So yeah.
Yeah, probably very much like Splatoon, right? We have it, it's a game that has a single player package. However, you mainly purchase it for your online as well. And are you thinking September, November? Obviously, we have the online systems coming, our sister services coming on in September. What's your prediction there?
My prediction is this is our day-and-day game with online.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I'm with you on that one.
And we'll probably hear the release date like at E3.
Yeah.
So.
And this will, and I'm going to assume that this is going to be Nintendo's tentpole for 2018, right? I mean, we obviously, what do you think? Do you think there's anything else that Nintendo's going to throw in their direction? Major tentpole.
I hope this isn't Nintendo's major tentpole. I hope we have another. I think there's a strong possibility that we could possibly have another. I don't know if you guys have heard. I don't delve too big into rumors. I'm not too big of a rumor believer. But have you heard these like Pokemon leaks and stuff that have been going around?
Yeah, starting to hear some of those. Yeah.
I haven't heard of any leaks, but definitely I agree that Pokemon is like the next big game outside of the Zelda, Mario, and Smash that we could expect to see on the Switch.
Right. Exactly. So I don't want to like go in too big into what the leaks exactly specifically said or were, but it just points closer to a 2018 release date. And Nintendo themselves, they're yet to change 2018 or remove 2018 from any of the retail listings of this game. So, I think that if they were, confident that it wasn't coming out this year, they would have done that a while ago.
Yeah.
So it still might be in the maybe spot, but I think there's a really good chance that we will see a Pokemon game coming out this year, and that it'll also have a huge online component to it attached as well. And if we do get that one, I think that'll probably come in November, December time. Like,
sure.
I think
Right
Sun and Moon
Black
came out.
Friday.
Exactly.
Mid-November.
There's
is the normal
always a
Pokemon
big
slot.
like Black Friday release, like that week, the week before Black Friday. Because Nintendo always slots their games in, what is it, Fridays or Sundays?
Fridays now.
Fridays,
Yeah, Fridays now. It used to be Sundays. So yeah, there was always like, 1 year it was Super Mario 3D World, and 1 year it was, last year it was, or no, I'm sorry, 1 year it was Mario Tennis Ultra Smash.
Ooh.
Oh man.
Yeah,
That was the year that Star Fox got booted.
We don't speak of that year.
Yeah, it's a rough time for Nintendo. Rough time. Before we slip off of the idea of the Direct here, Philip, quick question for you. And obviously, other than Smash, anything from the Direct that really kind of piques your interest, maybe as a parent or just in general, of like that really got you super excited?
I can't wait for the Splatoon 2 DLC.
Yes.
That is actually something I'm very excited about. Partly for personal reasons, I just love Splatoon, but also because my son loves Splatoon, and that's like a huge bonding game for us. Like his second obsession next to Splatoon is Minecraft, and I can't get into Minecraft. I'm just terrible at it. But Splatoon, that's our jam. Like that's what we play together. So, even though it's single player DLC, I am so excited for it, and I think it's going to be great, and it's just more fun to be had together. So
nice, that's awesome. And is he quite good at Splatoon 2, or is he like, does he own you, or hold his own?
Yeah, he's like level 32. He's like rank A plus. I think I'm rank C minus. I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
So yeah, he's a little better than I am, and he's 8 years old. So
that's fantastic. that is awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. So obviously we'll kind of dive into that a little bit. So your son, you guys actually went to a Labo event recently with your son as well, right?
Yes, yeah, we went to the New York Labo event.
Yeah. So how did that get on, and what was kind of his expression with Labo, and what was that experience like for you as a parent, and maybe how do you feel about it? Obviously, as we get just about a month away from the release of it as well.
Yeah, it's right around the corner, right? Wow. It was very surprising. Nobody at IGN was briefed on Labo. We saw that announcement with the rest of the world as well. So, it was really surprising and exciting for a lot of us. It was a very positive reaction from the office, because we really didn't know what to expect. And so for me personally, too, because I have a son, I was really excited about this. Like this to me looked like Legos, like future Legos that you could play with, your kid, or your kids could play with. And so I was immediately excited about it. And the second that we actually got the invite to go, I called my girlfriend right away, and I was like, put Keegan on the phone. I want to tell him. Like, I'm going to tell him. So, we were just super excited. His actual, like, when we got there, his actual hands-on experience with Labo was great. Like, he really enjoyed playing with it, building it, and everything. But he got tired. Like, his Labo itself, we all know it's made out of cardboard, and there's a lot of like folding and creasing that you have to do, and the cardboard itself is pretty thick. So like on some of these bigger sets, like the fishing rod, for instance, it took us, we were building it together. It took us a long time. We actually couldn't finish it within the allotted time that they gave us. Yeah. So, and that's partly because he just was getting tired, like folding, like he didn't want to do it. And it was like the second Toy-Con we were, working on. So that's my biggest concern, is like the time of length that it would take, realistically, if like a child did want to put this together by themselves. But other than that, I think it's an amazing thing that Nintendo is doing, and Toy-Con Garage especially.
Yes.
I think is where this is going to live. Like it's long, lengthy life, I guess.
At least once you get it home, there is no time limit.
Exactly.
You can take your time to take as long as you need to.
It all depends on how much of the dinner table you might have taken up with that cardboard. Depends on when dinner's ready. You may not have as much time as you think you do.
That's true.
So you were saying
That's
garage? True. Garage seems to be really where this is living, though. Hey, Filip?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really curious to see what the community is going to do with Toy-Con Garage. I think that its educational purposes are, extremely exciting. Just kind of getting more people interested into things like programming and coding and stuff like that. I wish we had stuff like that growing up. Maybe we would all have different futures now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that stuff will be shareable somehow.
Yeah. Did you get that feeling at all, Filip?
That would be amazing. It'd be very smart if they did do something like that. I actually didn't think about that, but with the online service, they could implement that.
See, I am a software developer, so I think of stuff like that.
Yes, yeah, there you go.
That's great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and actually, in Nintendo, for those of you who are listening, if you haven't checked out, you can obviously go to their YouTube channel, or you can go to our Facebook page. They just put out a video a couple days ago that highlighted again the Toy-Con Garage, and and I think the interesting part that you're mentioning there is the educational part of it, Filip, because again, we didn't really have that ability as kids. I grew up in the 80s and 90s to really have that ability to program and play as much, but this appears, very much the STEM play, right, that we're seeing nowadays is creativity, the engineering. Do you think, and I mean this is a little speculation, could we begin to seeing Nintendo pivoting and beginning engaging with educational schools in different ways to be able to roll out the Switch to them as play? I don't know, what do you think?
That would be a very interesting business strategy on their point. I think I don't know how sort of interested they are in getting in into business with schools and stuff like that. But I think that it would be a genius idea. I mean, this is definitely planting the seeds for something like that. It would be amazing if that is what, turned out to be. We have iPads in schools now. I mean, there are kids that take iPads every day to class. Yeah. So I can't see why an engineering class wouldn't have, or, even just an arts and craft class have something like a Switch just for the classroom. It makes a lot of sense, especially if Labo does become a big thing, which I think it very much will, especially because of how accessible and easy it is. But just sort of touching more on the Toy-Con Garage subject itself, it's a node-based system, and if I'm sure you're a coder, Jesse, so you probably are well aware of node-based systems, and they're actually very user-friendly and user-intuitive. So they're made for learning how to do basic stuff like that. And so
it's very similar to how you'd set up a Windows application.
Right.
You have to tell it, left click on this cell does this, a right click on this cell does this. So it's just literally the same thing. Here's an input, and this happens as an output.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so interesting. I think you're talking about a couple moments ago, Filip. Even your son is very much into Minecraft, right? It's very interesting how we're seeing video games become this creative outlet in different ways, right? That allows for whether it's building a world in Minecraft, right? You think about that. There's creativity, there's color, there's artistry, there's engineering aspects, right? There's a lot of aspects in Minecraft. Now we have something like a Labo, right? We're seeing so much more. Video games becoming, I don't want to say educational tools because they're not quite educational tools, but building blocks, I guess, to get people involved and think of learning in a very different way. Are there any other games that you think of, or maybe, or you've had experience with, or kids that kind of sounds the same to you that way?
As far as video games, I don't think I've had a video game that allowed me to be super creative like that. Yeah. I think the closest thing has to be Microsoft Paint. I remember playing with that a lot.
Yeah.
So that was almost like a video game for me, growing up. But really, educational games for me were the Magic School Bus or Math Blaster, stuff like that. That's what I grew up playing on PC. Is if my parents were interested in buying me learning games. Yeah. But nothing like this.
If you want a high level example of a programming game, check out the Human Resource Machine.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah,
cool.
That's right. Good point. Any other? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Philip.
Yeah, I was gonna say there were like Legos. I remember like Lego robotics was a thing.
Yeah.
I was a little bit older at that time though. I tried messing with that stuff. It was cool, but then looking around, there were also people my age at that point just coding. So
Playing with Lego blocks or coding, which one do you get?
Yeah, I was like, all right, well, yeah. So.
Yeah. Any other like games that you're maybe really excited to be playing with your son as you're looking on the horizon? Any games that kind of pique your interest? Obviously, I know Marty, you mentioned a couple moments ago, Kirby releases today. Obviously, a huge 4-player aspect of that. I know that my household is pumped. I think my girls have actually forgot that it comes out tonight or today, so it's gonna be a nice little surprise when I get home from work to dish that off. But any other ones that you're looking forward to, Philip?
Yeah, I'm actually a Donkey Kong fan myself.
Oh,
so
yeah. You and I are like podcast spirit animals, I think.
There you go.
And then there's Marty, who's not.
Yeah. So you're saying Donkey Kong.
I don't hate Donkey Kong. Oh my gosh.
I think there's somebody on every Nintendo podcast that just hates Donkey Kong. I'm pretty sure, and that's okay.
The first episode of this show that I was on, we were doing a top 10 Wii U games of all time, and I kicked his precious Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze off because of the spike in difficulty late in the game.
Yeah.
My reasoning was that it was too hard for kids.
Yeah, it does get really hard, which is why they added the surfing Kong. Funky Kong, yes, there you go. But yeah, I'm excited for Donkey Kong. I think that's going to be a great game. My son was like way too young when that came out on Wii U to really like grasp the difficulty of it. So now that this basically has like a easy mode, it's going to be great to just go back and experience that with him as well. So
that's great. Yeah, excellent. Cool. All right. Let's. I'm going to be cautious of time here. Let's maybe head over to our listener questions for Philip now. So Marty, if we can pull that up, that'd be great. So we had some. We obviously announced Philip coming on the show. We had a lot of people who were very, very excited for it, and had some questions submitted. So Marty, what do we got for Philip?
All right. So we'll just pull a couple of these again, being conscious of time. Timothy Off asks you. How have your gaming habits changed since becoming a dad?
Not very much, actually, to tell you the truth. I've always been a late night gamer. So I spent a lot of my time just gaming like after 9 or 10 o'clock. It's only been since I've started working at IGN that I've been playing actively during the day because it's like my job now, like actual job. So it hasn't been affected too much. I do find myself like going back and playing more retro games that I grew up, just trying to show my son like what I played and stuff, which is exciting because they're still fun. A lot of them still hold up. So yeah, I can't say it's changed too drastically.
Awesome. Let's see here. This is a good question. Sean Bustler wants to know, if you were pitching the Mario movie, which games would you want to most influence the story and why?
Ooh, that's an awesome question. Wow, these are great questions. Okay, so I definitely have to say Super Mario World because that's my absolute favorite Mario game, 2D or 3D. That's just, in my opinion, the best Mario game. So I'd love for it to have that sort of aesthetic, that look and feel. That would be great. But I also would love to see, elements of Mario Odyssey in there. I just love, the worlds in that game. I loved New Donk City. I thought it was great. So I love the Sand Kingdom. I'd love to see those again show up in the Mario movie. And obviously, like the very first Super Mario Bros. I'd love to see just like a little bit of that as well. Just 8-bit look brought to it in some way. And I'm sure that there'll be Easter eggs and stuff. So it'd be great. But as far as like story-wise and stuff, I have no idea where they're going to go with this one. This is probably going to be a completely original take on Mario. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And good choice in Mario World. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even though Mario 3 is forever king for me.
Mario 3 is, yeah.
Last question here.
Mario 3 is already a play.
Yeah, that's true. Peter Ono, this will be our last question. It says, how long did it take for the Switch to be accepted as a successful device in the IGN office? as I'm sure many were skeptical at first for probably several months after launch. Was it after Splatoon 2 or not until Mario Odyssey?
Well, I'm curious, what do you guys think they mean by that? Like, as to how everyone bought one in the office, or like when it became like 100% accepted? Because I'm pretty sure I mean, I wasn't there for when they announced the Switch, but I'm pretty sure they accepted it right away. Everyone was very excited about Switch. I do know that there were a lot of people, not a lot of people, but quite a few people that didn't get theirs until around E3 time. Mm-hmm. But that's because they just couldn't get their hands on it. Like, honestly, it was just very hard to find. But for the most part, almost everybody in the office has a Switch. So, right. Yeah, wow. It was accepted right away.
So there wasn't like a point of like mass turning, or there wasn't like one game that did it and it was like everybody was like, oh, that's it, I gotta go buy a Switch.
It was Zelda. I mean, Zelda was the game.
Zelda did it, yeah.
Zelda did it.
Yeah, I mean, Mario obviously brought in, a few non-believers, I guess, non-Zelda fans, which I don't talk to those people anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
we make right decisions with friends, not bad decisions.
Exactly. No. But Mario did bring over, I think, a few stragglers, but for the most part, the Switch was a massive deal at IGN. Nintendo, is sort of the backbone of that company. Like, the company, the website used to be n64.com. Like, that was the original URL of IGN. And they mainly covered Nintendo because that's where it was back in the 90s, like before Xbox and PlayStation and stuff. So it sort of runs through the blood of that company, and that's fine. You know what I mean? It runs through video games. Nintendo is a very iconic symbol in pop culture. More, I believe, more so than. And I'm not being biased here. I'm really not. Like, I love Xbox and I love PlayStation, but there's just something about Nintendo that makes people feel like kids again, right. Nostalgic. And, that's cool. That's something that the other systems, I feel like, just don't have yet,
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah. And who knows, like, maybe in 20 years from now, there will be that level of nostalgia, right? From kids who grew up in the 90s and the knots to be
totally.
Playing with it. That, right.
Totally,
but I think,
yeah.
As kids who grew up in the 80s and 90s and remember the console wars, right? Or remember renting video games. Yes, kids actually renting cartridges. You were very much either one camp or the other, right? You were either Nintendo or Sega, and there were like fist fights on school property based on those kind of things, right? So the nostalgia runs deep for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Filip, maybe a couple of quick questions maybe from the guys. I know we got a list here as well, but I am very curious. Obviously, we've talked about your transition over to IGN as the editor now. It's almost been a little bit over 6 months, if memory serves me relatively correctly, so I could be wrong on that one. How has that been getting on for you? What has been some big surprises for you? What has the experience been like? Do you want us to contact someone at HR for you? Do you need us to drop a Paraline and say be nice? Like, what do you need from us?
Oh, I appreciate it. Everything, it's still very surreal for me. Like, I still wake up every morning, not in disbelief that this is my life, that I actually got a job, my dream job at IGN. Cause, I started out as a YouTuber. I had my YouTube channel for, a little less than a year actually, before I started working at IGN. And so I started it with the main sole purpose to get a job at IGN.
Oh, wow.
That was, to, cover Nintendo, hopefully in some way, for IGN. And, 9 months later, I'm the Nintendo editor.
Like a living resume.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the point. It was it was a resume, but it's something that along that pathway, I fell in love with just content creation. I fell in love with making videos and beyond covering games, just the whole process of creating content is just something I'm very, very into. And YouTube, it was all about videos and making, trying to make as many videos, the best videos as quick as you possibly could. And hopefully you put the right, hashtags and, search terms in there and you make it or whatever. But the transition over to IGN now like I'm creating new content that I've never even touched before. I'm now like writing articles every single day, which is something that is very new to me still. You know, it's a new platform that I'm working with and I'm exploring and I'm learning a lot about every single day. It's very different from video production.
Mm-hmm.
And then also there are things like, handling, Snapchat videos and stuff like that, and social media videos, and trying to sort of manage all of that at the same time. So it's great. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's the good kind of a lot of work. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's fun. So going from YouTube to IGN was something that I didn't think would be possible. I didn't think it would ever happen, honestly. And then it just did. And now I'm just sort of trying to do my best. I'm trying to make you guys happy. You know what I mean? I'm doing this for everyone that believed in me and you know what I mean, supported me and for myself. And it just feels amazing. It really does. And I'm so thankful that I've become accepted, within the community and at the workplace. And I'm here, on this podcast, talking with you guys about it. Like, that's insane to me, and I'm so thankful and grateful, so thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been fantastic. I've been a huge IGN fan and Nintendo Voice Chat for years, and then have you coming onto the podcast was a great voice. I actually discovered your channel before you joined IGN, and because we were all, I think, being video or content creators, I was like, hey, someone else is covering Switch content. This is great. So for you joining, it was fantastic, and I think you're doing a great job. Just fantastic. So well done on that as well. So, guys, we are near the top of the hour, and I know, Filip, we'll let you get some sleep. You sound like you got a very busy day tomorrow ahead of you as well. So, yes. For those of you who don't know where to find you and what you do, here's a great opportunity to plug everything. So where can people do that?
Yeah, sure. You can find me on Twitter at Filip Miucin. It's just my whole name spaced together. And you can also find me every day on IGN.com. Just IGN.com. It's a little website. We're working on it. Yep. We're trying to make it big.
Keep working on it, guys.
Yeah, we're hoping to get there. And also YouTube.com/Nintendo Voice Chat. Every Friday, we've got a weekly Nintendo podcast, just like this podcast right here. Not quite as cool, but we'll get there too. So.
Probably same level amount of dads on the podcast now, but I think you guys are starting to kind of itch into our Nintendo Dads podcast a little bit.
Almost, yeah.
So
we just got to get Zach pregnant, and then
get Zach pregnant. Let's see how that works. So the whole podcast all together. So that's great. Well, Phil, thanks very much for joining us and joining the show, and wishing you luck. And we'll talk to you very soon then.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much, guys. Bye bye. And there we go. Perfect. Philip, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it. I know, like I said, probably a very busy day for you. So thanks so much for carving out the time. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. I hope that was okay. I hope that was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. Oh, we didn't hit record. So we're going to have to do it all over again. But if you're okay with that. That was fantastic. Thank you.
It was an absolute pleasure. So I mean, anytime you guys would like to have me back, it would be an honor. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we greatly appreciate that. And we're going to post our audio file. Should go out tomorrow morning. Am I right? What day is it for you guys? It's Thursday night for you. Sorry, it's 4 a.m. for me in Ireland right now. So I'm kind of working through my time zones.
Wow. You're in Ireland.
Yes.
You're up for this. Thank you so much.
No worries. I was like, so what time is it for you there? The funny part is
our
you guys
time changed, and then theirs changes in 2 weeks, right?
Yes. Ireland, UK's time zone changes are spring ahead in 2 weeks. So I lost an hour, so I was up at 2:30. So I was like,
I hate time change so much.
Yeah, time zones are awesome. But yeah, so we'll release this, and obviously we'll tag you as it releases out as well. So
okay, yeah. Thank you so much. This was great.
No worries. Thank you, Philip. You have a great night, and go get some sleep, eh?
You too, man. All right.
We'll talk
Take
to you
care,
soon.
guys.
Take care. Bye.
Awesome.
That was great. We're still live, I presume, there, Jesse?
Yeah, and I'll just cut off this segment in the audio form.
Okay. Cool. We'll go into. Do you guys want to talk about news anymore? Or what do you want to do here?
There's really not any news I think we need to get into.
What we've been playing?
Sure.
Okay. Cool.
Let's do it.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, guys. That was absolutely awesome for Philip to join us and talk about his time at IGN, talk about Labos. That guy was like, not that I'm shocked, really cool guy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like that was awesome. So awesome. It's funny.
Not that you guys aren't the best, but that was one of the highlights for me so far
Really?
being on the show.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, it's, and the funny part is, we'll take a little bit of a moment here to talk about that. When Philip was talking about content creation, right, and his hope was just to create content and to kind of get onto IGN, right? That idea of a resume and just trying something and creating something. And this is, I don't know. I found it was very, very inspiring to talk to him about that. I thought that was really cool.
I appreciated the non-spin version of what he told us about Labo.
Yeah.
Not that Labo's bad, but that, hey, kids do get frustrated by this. Not like, because having a kid who, like, my kids are so different, and I know a lot of parents, this is your thing. Like, your kids are night and day different.
Yeah.
Like, both of them are super excited about Labo, but I know that one of them is going to be up for the folding, putting together, and one of them is going to be up for the just get it done and let me play it.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, as a dad who's spending all this money on Nintendo cardboard, I want them to be all in, and I know that's not going to happen. So like, hearing that somebody had that same kind of thing going on, made me feel a whole lot better about it.
Yeah, I feel like, and that's a good point about the Labo thing in his conversation. And I don't know what I think we all have this ideal state when we think of something, right? Like, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get the cardboard and we're going to go to the dining room and we clear everything off the dining room. And we're going to lay it out and we're going to spend
Dad's going to smoke his pipe and
be you enjoy that cardboard I paid for that, right? Honey, go get me another beer. That's my old man, slightly. I don't know what voice that is exactly. It feels a bit might be racist, not racist, but very ageist, perhaps.
It sounds like something that should have come from one of the Oh Sir games.
Oh, potentially, yeah, could have been a little bit, right? Oh, sir, go get me another beer, woman. We do not condone any of that activity, by the way.
Putting together cardboard.
Yes, but essentially, like. It did make me think, I think we all have this ideal state of like, oh, I'm going to sit here for 7 hours and do Labo and everyone's going to color on it and it's going to be happy. But it actually really made me think of like, how can I leverage Labo? And I don't know about you guys, and this is a big thing here for Ireland especially. And so I'm going to take it my lens of the world. Here, it rains a lot. And kids sometimes don't want to go outside and play in the rain all the time, right? So sometimes you're just kind of like, hey, you're going to be inside for the day, right? Kind of a common thing. And you're always, my wife is really good for, hey, we've got some stuff from Amazon, we've got arts, we've got crafts, we've got books, we've got games, we've got all those kind of things to kind of like bide time, right? And I think that when Philip said that about Labo and the tiredness of it, it made me think, what I'll maybe do is that when we get Labo, okay, guys, we're going to select one thing we're going to do. One thing we're going to do today, and we're going to build, let's say it's the dollhouse. That's the thing we're going to work on. So Morgan, if you want to color, because you really love coloring, you're going to color the pieces you want. And then when you're done, Rylan will put it together, right? You and I will work on the pieces together. But I'll leave the other, 6 projects I've got over there kind of in the corner by the arts and crafts area. And when we have one of those rainy days, we're going to pull that out and do another project. Because I think when you think about kids and expectations, and again, to Philip's point, the amount of time and energy and their tiredness, right? I don't want to be like, darn it, I paid, $100 for cardboard and you're not having fun and you're tired. What's going on here? Right? You don't want to ruin that experience. So I think it repositioned how I think I'm going to use it.
Even
I'd
if
already gotten to the point, like hearing about all of the things that, came in the kit, of saying like, there's no way that we're going to build all 5 of these Toy-Cons day one.
Right. Yeah.
I just can't do it. Like, I can't spend all day playing.
Your kids may want to, but I think even they'll get sick of it after a while.
Mm-hmm.
But here's like, Justin, the situation that you're in is like maybe a little bit different than mine, because at least like if you say to your girls, hey girls, decorate this Labo cardboard house, right? They may work together on that. My 10-year-old son, who will be 11 at that time, and my 9-year-old daughter are not going to agree on one thing when it comes to this. So it's going to be, and like I foresee, like with my parental prophecy vision,
Yeah.
I foresee bad things when it comes to, because like my son absolutely does not give one rip about coloring.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is not fussed with it at all. He's just, and he never has been. Like even as a little kid, be like, color that, and he'd just take his crayon and go
Scratch.
know,
Yeah.
and like all that. I'm like, it's outside the lines. Yeah, but I colored it.
Fair play to you, son.
Yeah, and technically he's right. He did color it. So like how I'm countering that actually, and I'm hoping that I'm able to get my hands on one of these, is I want to get one of the sticker kits.
Mm.
You know, with like they have the eyes and the different kinds of tape and things, and like get him more focused on that. And it's like not really as like, hey, we're going to decorate it, but we're going to design it. We're going to,
Yep.
we're gonna build the outside of it. We're gonna line it with tape and make it look cool, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, for me, we're probably doing those bug things first.
Right. Yeah.
Because they look like the least fuss out of all of them.
Yeah.
And that way, if we do them and they're like, this sucks, I don't want to do any more of it, then I can do the piano and I can do all that other stuff. Because you know what? I'm interested in this too.
That bug thing up would also get you into the node programmer aspect faster.
Yeah.
And then you'll get an idea of whether your kids are into that or not.
Yeah, and I think, Marty, I think you've talked about it a couple of times. It sounds like your son, that's probably where his interest may lie, is that creativity, the garage part that Philip talked about.
We bought him a program, or he has a program that came with a book we got him called, it's called Scratch. It's called Scratch too, and it like lets him do simple coding.
Okay.
But he can't sit still long enough to do it.
Yeah.
So he's just like, you know, it's like, oh, you know, here you can make it do this. Well, he'll go through it and he'll miss like one or two steps because he's moving too fast.
Yeah.
Now, the difference in this, I think, may be that it's on the Switch and it's like, it's not him just clicking a mouse and moving things around, but he's actually doing stuff with his hands.
Right.
And so like the day that Labo comes out, I'm just like, that's that day I'm going to like put my phone up and he and I are just going to sit and do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And then when he's done, we're going to say, okay, we're going to leave it for a little bit. We'll come back to it later.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. I think from your parenting perspective, right? So obviously there's a level of excitement that we have about anything as well, right? But we also don't want to discourage engagement and excitement, right? So how we as parents or as fathers say, you know what, you're done with that for the day, and you may be breaking inside like, no, we have to finish the fishing rod, right? It's like, okay, we'll take a break, and because we don't want to ruin that. We don't want to ruin that moment, and we want to have that level of excitement too. So yeah,
hey,
that's a great point.
Can I throw this out here real quick?
Of course.
Totally different subject, but I wanted to bring this up because Philip actually brought it up. The Nyko dock, you know, NintendoEnthusiast.com has issued a warning that if you have upgraded your Switch to 5.0, do not use the Nyko dock. Folks are reporting that after updating to the 5.0 update, that all third-party Switch docks, and this is just saying third-party Switch docks. It does say Nyko, but it just says third-party period. Have bricked their system.
Really?
Yep.
Oof.
So, guys, look, here's the deal. I'm going to throw this out as an owner of a Nyko dock who's about to go home and throw it in the trash. Spend the extra money for the official Nintendo dock. It sucks. It's not really worth $90, but at least you don't brick your Switch.
Yeah.
I wonder what changed in the OS that it must. I imagine it has something to do with like not detecting the battery capacity, so it overflows and destroys itself.
It possibly does. I know that since I've gotten the Nyko dock, I had to plug it in manually to my Mac and run an updater on the actual dock itself once. And so I'm guessing that the firmware on the dock has not been on the portable dock has not been updated to go with 5.0 yet.
Yeah.
So this leads to an interesting question for me now. I normally don't use a dock to charge it. I have a USB-C plugged into my computer.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I haven't noticed any issues, but I wonder what the difference is, or if I'm going to have a problem, or if it's only with the dock, and not just regular cables.
I don't know.
I have no clue. Like at this point, at this point, I would almost say that it's safer for somebody to do what you did, which is buy the casing and gut a dock, on their own.
Well, that ended up dying, so I can't even.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Don't do that either.
All of a sudden, one day, I just stopped. It wouldn't take power.
Yeah, well, I know. For me,
I liked that small form factor though, so I kind of miss it.
Yeah, I know. For me, like when I travel, I don't bring a dock or anything. I just use a USB-C and like a Apple power outlet, like a wall charger, essentially, just to charge when I'm on the go. I wonder how that's going to impact, because I know that OJO projector. That
is it the Ojo or
Ojo? Yeah, the Ojo projector.
I was interested in that.
Recently came out, and that's essentially, that's a dock also, right? Because it's pulling out the imagery. So Nintendo, though, you know what? I'm sorry, Nintendo. I know I saw recently they actually put out an image. What's that company they use? It starts with an H. Oh, they did Hori dock. I thought I saw it recently this week, and this is great, by the way. Audio, like fantastic, I'm sure. I thought Hori put out a dock system recently this week.
The Hori compact play stand.
Maybe that's what it is. Oh, you know what?
Now I have one of those, and that's a
no.
That's actually
that thing's great.
That's
by the
actually
way.
just like a little fold up thing that you can stand it on, and it actually has a gap where it holds the switch so that you can run a charger.
Yes, and it's actually even got little nubs so that it actually fits.
Now, Justin, you may be right, like because I'm doing some googling as we. But I mean, this would include things from Bastop, from Insignia, from Hori, from basically anything. If it doesn't say freaking Nintendo on the side of it,
but I thought Hori just I thought I saw on the Japanese side Hori just revealed like an actual dock that had like USB ports on the side of it too, like it was very small.
Well, I googled Nintendo Switch Hori dock, and nothing came up.
Sorry, I scrolled through. I thought it was like scrolling through a Twitter post on it, and so I don't know. I could be very wrong too. So, so I guess that's and I guess Marty. Although I would say, by the way, that Hori stand, Nintendo Switch folding stand, I love that thing.
It's fantastic.
That's fantastic. And you're not,
this makes me wish that I had taken the point a couple of weeks ago to get the dock when I think it was Best Buy or Amazon, I can't remember, was selling dock kits for $59.99.
Yeah.
I really wish that I had done that. See, I already have a second actual Nintendo dock.
Yeah.
But I bought the Nyko dock to like when I go to my parents.
Yeah, for travel, eh?
And it's great. I mean, you can toss it in your backpack. It's like it's not even there, but I'm not using it anymore.
And as a person who travels a fair bit and stays in hotels, I like on my own for business, I would love that, right? To just be able to say like, hey, I'm going to bring my Pro controller. I've got my dock. I can, because typically the TVs have a HDMI port somewhere in there on the side. You can usually, get your access to it, pop it in there. I could play, laying in bed. That'd be great. I mean, currently, I just lay in bed playing in handheld. Whoa, first world problems, right? Like it's not that big of a deal, really. But it would always be kind of nice. So guys, I guess that is, Marty, first, thanks so much for bringing that warning to our attention as well.
Yeah. And if you're listening and you're having to throw away your Nyko dock or get rid of it, I just did a quick Google search. Best Buy has a dock for regular price, but Amazon has, doesn't even have docks right now in stock. They have used docks for $69.99.
Wow.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
just don't wait for the restock. And if you have to go on the go, do what Mr. Masson's doing there. Take your charger from your Switch with you and play that way.
Yeah, like I have a USB-C charger, and that's it. And that's my to-go bag. and then I just plug that into the wall outlet.
Like, yeah, I
when
mean,
go to
like
bed.
I love being able to put it up on the TV when I'm at my parents and stuff, you know, because we don't really do a lot when we're there, but like you can still play whatever you want, you know, undocked, and
exactly.
you know, you're risking. Do you want to risk a broken switch, or do you want to risk, you know, or are you gonna keep using the dock? I'm just pulling this article up. Like I clicked on it a minute ago, and it just now came up.
Okay.
Something's going on with my internet. Problems have been reported with a variety of different docks, including Insignia, Nyko, and others. So there's really not any that are safe. And here, let me say this too before we move on. And I know we need to move on. I don't think this is Nintendo intentionally bricking switches.
No,
I think this is these little docks, these third-party docks are garbage docks, and they were stopgap measures in the first place, and they can't keep up with Nintendo changing the code.
right. That makes sense.
Because I don't think that Reggie Fils-Aimé is sitting in Nintendo headquarters tonight laughing at all the reports of this stuff.
Oh, you're all silly, right? Yeah, I don't think that's their intentional, right? But I do think, to Philip's point, you know, as he mentioned, like some of these updates are kind of about patching, right? And if Nintendo has seen that potentially could be an exposure point, right, that could potentially allow people to hack into it, they may end up. All I can see is your face, Marty, and it is ridiculously hilarious to watch.
So
that may actually hold
so the guy
right.
who reported this,
Yeah.
guess who it is? It's Spawn Wave, the guy that Philip just talked about.
Oh, really?
It got his Switch.
Oh, is that? And that was what he was. It wasn't Philip talking about. What did Philip talk about then? For the because he talking about the cloud.
Talking about how you know he had I think he's friends with him, and
yeah, he had to send it in, right?
Yeah, and he had to send it in. This is it. This is why.
Well, hold on. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, Philip mentioned that during the actual call. Yeah, that he had to send it in because of a third-party dock. Yeah.
It says that he recently made a video announcing his own Switch was bricked after 5.0 update. Used it with the Nyko dock for 1 hour, after which the system would no longer function. He's had to buy a new Switch, and as a result, lost all of his save data.
Yikes. Oh, that is painful.
Nyko did replace the system, but turned down their offer since he's done a lot of experiments with the system, which have involved various things like taking it apart and other things he probably doesn't want to talk about.
Yeah.
The article doesn't say that last part. I added it in.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Yeah. So guys, be cautious of those docks as well. We're going to move on. You know, just before we move on, there was something that we were talking about Labo that like triggered me that I really want Nintendo to do from a parenting perspective. I think would be freaking brilliant. I would like for Nintendo to provide game coding Nintendo games for kids to play. So where you can, so very much like how there's like the Minecraft code of hour, where you can actually learn how to code using code and you do Minecraft, but do that for Mario. I think that would be freaking brilliant.
You know, Justin, to that point, I think they've done that kind of in a way.
Mario Maker?
Well, Mario Maker, but Mario March of the Minis.
Yeah, that's a good point. No,
I think about it now, it's not like full on.
Yeah.
But you've got to figure out, how do I manipulate this, or how do I make this happen to make these guys go here to make them end up here?
Yeah, but no, I'm talking like actual to code, right? If I
want
Mario
I'm all for that.
Jump over Goomba, open block, go down pipe. You have to run the code. I think that'd be cool. I don't know. Maybe I'm just really into a coding kick right now. But
no, that's good, because like, what's the future?
Yep.
The future is digital.
Yeah, my kid absolutely Rylan loves coding on she has done the hour of coding on Minecraft a couple of times. We have the Swift app on the iPad. She loves doing that stuff. So I think that'd be awesome.
I tried downloading that when it was new, but my iPad is too old.
Oh, that's sad face. Let's move in a little bit now to maybe what we've been playing a bit. You know, we didn't ask Philip what he was playing. Shoot, we ran out of time. That would have been a good thing.
We know he's playing Kirby, so
yeah, probably he's got lots of. Well, there may be things he can't talk about that he can play as well.
That's true.
So guys, let's jump into what we have been playing.
Do it.
Sound clip. Jesse, let's maybe start off with you, sir. What have you been playing? You said you've got a bit of a trash game you want to talk about. Let's talk about your trash game.
Yeah, I it's a game for $5 on the eShop, and I had $9 of gold coins, so it didn't cost me of any real money. I picked up Bingo for the Switch.
Bingo?
Yes.
Oh, Jesse. I saw this today, and I was like,
took one for the team.
oh, no.
Out of all the games that you choose Bingo?
Well, see, I used to play Bingo a lot when I was younger. I worked as a bingo caller for 3 or 4 years.
Oh, I so want to hear more about that story.
I have a history of the game. And, going back to, what we were talking about, programming, using, the computers in the 80s and early 90s when he was on, I had programmed on my little Tandy color computer too, a program that would print out bingo cards and be a bingo caller, showing on the screen a visual representation of the called numbers. And so I had and I was 13 years old, 12, 13 years old. I had a good understanding of how this game works. The people who developed this apparently don't.
Really?
So, you know what a bingo card looks like.
I do.
So the bingo cards don't even have the letters on the top. And so the letters are important because normally, the letters represent a range of 15 possible numbers. So your first column is 1 through 15. Your I's are 16 through 30, etc. Up until O's goes up to 75. So if the ball is called I-30, I know it'll land in the second column, so I only have 5 numbers to look. So it's really quick to do a quick scan and see if it shows up or not. The cards in this game, they give you no organization at all. Everything's all randomized within it. So you're in most of the games, you're in a race to find the number. Like the first, let me reload it so I know what I'm talking about. The first game is called Buzz Bingo, and all the games are 4-player games, whether you play it with up to 4 humans or you and 3 CPUs. But the way Buzz Bingo works is everyone has one bingo card, and a number is called, and you have to say it's on your card first. If you do, you get to stamp it, and no one else can use it. But if someone else beats you to it, you can't use it. So that instantly starts blocking rows and columns from possible wins. So you could end up going through the entire set of numbers and no one wins if enough people are blocking each other. But really early on, the computer is kind of slow. Like it'll take 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds, and it actually will say how long it takes for them to sign in. And near the end of the game, they were chiming in less than 0.5 seconds.
Oh wow!
And while I'm still having to scan 15 numbers to see if the number is in my card, I'm not that fast.
Right.
So that's kind of a silly mode. And another thing I don't like is all the menus are only with the left analog stick.
Okay.
The left face buttons don't do a thing. And that was normally in games, if it's a more rigid movements like an early Final Fantasy or a Mega Man or something, where it makes more sense to use a D-pad versus an analog stick, I'll use the face buttons.
Right.
And traversing menus, there's no real need to know the difference between 45 degrees and 47 degrees or 48 degrees. It's either left or not.
Right.
So, even traversing the menus is what took me a while to figure out, because I was trying to use buttons. So,
okay.
Another mode is Slide Bingo, and I think this is the one I actually had the most fun with.
Okay.
So again, the 4 players, each starting with a card that have 5 random things stamped, and everyone takes turns picking a row or column to slide, one shift over. And so if I say I want the middle row to slide left, all 4 cards gets the same slide.
Okay.
And then player 2 goes, player 3 goes, player 4 goes to try to pick. Picking which row or column gets to slide. Once everyone picks 1 or 2 times, then a new random red dot will be added. Oh. And you just keep on going like this until the first person actually has a straight line. So cool. That one was kind of decent.
Okay.
Other than that, it was crap.
So let me ask you this: for a $5, would you recommend this game?
No. Even if it was 50 cents.
Okay. Hard pass from Jesse on that.
No.
Okay. Anything else you've been playing?
I played a little bit more in Irradiant Historia, and I'm actually getting close to a stuck point, which is earlier than I got in the DS, my DS playthrough. So what I'm thinking about doing, and I didn't want to, but I think I have to, is to throw the game into easy mode.
Okay.
But so what that does, which is something new for this version, I don't think the DS version had it. What it grants is, when you're in the overworld, like a lot of games, you're able to run around, you see the enemies, and you can pre-attack them. And if you do, you get an advantage in battle. But when it's in easy mode, when you do that pre-attack, it counts as a win. You get the full experience and money and items you would have gotten for doing the win without actually having to do the turn-based battle.
Okay.
So, cause what I'm finding, I'm at the point where I need to grind, but I'm running out of health and mana doing the grinding that I have to backtrack and go back to an inn and refill, which then spends a good chunk of the money that I earned in the grinding attempt. So if I just go around back and forth, just going insta-win, 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 I should grind up faster and be able to get past where I'm stuck. But right. I'm like, it's really a mode I didn't want to activate. But I think if I continue with the game, I think I have to.
That's fair. Okay. So you're still putting away with that, but still enjoying it, and that's a game you would definitely recommend if you like RPGs.
Yes.
Okay. Right, cool.
And awesome. Especially if you like time travel stories, because the game is really focused around bouncing back and forth between 2 timelines, kind of like Back to the Future.
That's on the 3DS, or is that on the Switch?
3DS.
3DS. Okay, great, excellent. Mr. Estes, what about you, sir? You've got a game that's has been my interest for a while, and go ahead. I'm gonna stop.
No, go ahead. Tell me what that is.
The Flint Hook. You had early access to this. You weren't able to talk about it on the last show. You did put up a video, but yeah, tell me about that.
Oh my gosh, I was just playing this before I came to record tonight. So, as I said in the video that's up at our YouTube channel, Flint Hook is it's a roguelike-esque game. And what I mean by that is that there are roguelike elements to it, but there's also linear elements to it as well. So it's kind of a blend. It's like Bionic Commando and Mega Man had a love child with Enter the Gungeon. So you're playing as a space pirate named Flint Hook, and his job is to go around and find ghost gems to feed to his goo compass, which is like he has this compass where this little green slime lives in it that eats these ghost gems, and when it eats the right amount of them, it produces a photo of his bounty, who he's trying to take down, and it shows exactly where he is. The way that you get those photos is to go through ships, like to take down minor ships of the enemy, and each round, I guess, you have to get like to the first boss is named Bad Billy Bullseye, and he kind of looks like Plankton from SpongeBob. And to get to him, you have to have 3 ghost gems, right? You have to let the compass eat 3 ghost gems. Well, each round of ships gives you 1 ghost gem. So on the first round, you'll have 3 ships to pick from, and they'll have all kinds of different things about them. And you'll kind of know, like, you won't know what's in them, but it'll kind of tell you what kind of ship it is, like a labyrinth or a gauntlet, or there's a ship called Treasurium, which has lots more treasure. Or there's, there's ones that, like, I went through one tonight called Laser Gauntlet. I don't recommend that one at all. It was terrible. In fact, I ended up dying on it. But there's even some called librariums, where if you find the library room, it'll tear out a piece out of this book and it'll give you a little bit of the backstory of the game. Like it'll give you some lore on some of the characters. And so all of that's collectible. And so the levels themselves are roguelike, but you're able to progress in that once you beat Bad Billy Bullseye, you don't have to beat him anymore. Like, whereas Enter the Gungeon, when you start your level 1, you're going to fight 1 or 2 bosses at the end of that level.
Mm-hmm.
You finished that part. So you're moving on to your next bounty, and he takes 4 soul gems or ghost gems to get to. Where Flint Hook also differs is that there's a perk system that you can set up at the beginning of a run that will give you bonuses that last throughout the entire run. And that's permanent if you want it to be. But you can change that around, and you can also change it even more by spending each of the ships. Like I said, each round will give you 1 soul gem. The other thing that happens is that each ship is worth its difficulty is shown by skulls in the bottom right hand corner. And the more skulls it is, the harder it is, but also the more skulls you reap when you beat the mini boss of that ship. Those skulls are then used to go to the black market in-game menu and buy permanent upgrades for Flint Hook. Everything from more health to faster shot to shot distance, jumping power, all kinds of different things like that. And those become permanent upgrades to your character as you level up. And there are level ups in this game. Like, I think I'm ranked 18 or 19 right now. Mm-hmm. And that you get experience points based on how far you get in each run. Right. And then those give you these card packs, which then open up new perks and new black market things. And like when I beat the first boss, you get a new black market item and different things like that. So it builds up over time, and you have to, of course, get better to get to the end. But guys, I want to tell you what, you're going to play this game, you're going to die a lot, but it's okay because the controls are so smooth. If you make a mistake, it's your fault. And the music is just incredible. Will make you think of NES Mega Man games. It's that good. It's that good. Like, and it really, Flad had its hooks in me for a good long while, like when it first came out. And I haven't been able to play a lot this week, but man, oh man, like if you were to ask me right now, Marty, which is Enter the Gungeon better or is Flint Hook better? I don't know that I could decide. And I've put in a lot of time with Gungeon.
Okay.
And I think I don't want to say it's the 2D aspect of it, but it is cheaper than Enter the Gungeon. It's $15 on the eShop. And if you like any of those games like Bionic Commando or Mega Man or any like that, go buy it.
Marty, you are. This has been on my radar for a while. Like, to be honest, like when you said like, hey, by the way, this came up, and I was like, oh, can I get the review code? Right? And I was like, no, you go on it. But I have credit in the eShop. Like, I have $23 worth of credit. You
will not regret. I'm telling you. You will not regret pulling the trigger. Do it right now while we're on this. Do it. Just go and download it. Yeah, so I've been playing that. I've also been playing another game that we put up a video for today called Spiral Splatter. It's a puzzle game. It's also available on iOS and Android, and I believe other platforms as well. But it's a pretty simple game. You guide a puck from one side of the screen to the other to get to the target. But the catch is that it's timed to see how fast you can do it. And there's walls and other obstacles in your way. And so it's like, keep it away from the walls, get past the obstacles, press switches to turn off beams, teleport to one place and go through the rest of it. And using the A button on the right Joy-Con will speed it up, will speed the puck up as you move. And the thing is that you can already kind of see where this is going. You have to do it. Like, you have to use the speed up. But that causes you to fly into the wall and die a lot over and over and over again. And so I put up a short little video of it. Like, it's nothing like this. It's not going to light your world on fire or anything. But if you love puzzle games, then the Switch is surprisingly bereft of puzzle games. Besides like Puyo Puyo and Picross, and Puyo Puyo Tetris, actually, may I say, and Picross. So, like if that's your thing, then I think you would really like it. It just didn't really do it for me.
Yeah. I think I have about 130 hours total between 2 or 3 puzzle games. So
that's crazy. That's crazy.
And the thing is not like between Pixel Lines and Picross and Tetris, there's not a whole lot of selection. That's a genre I'm hoping that we see more of. But it's this thing. Here's the cool part about this too is there's no Switch tax on this game. It's on iOS right now for $4.99. It's in the eShop for $4.99.
Yeah.
So you're not going to drop a huge chunk of change on it, and you get 100 levels. It's like I love the aesthetic of it.
It's very minimalistic and simple, isn't it?
It's very minimalistic. The background, like the kind of the I guess the gradient backgrounds and everything look really cool. The music's nice and soothing. But
what was this game again?
It's called Spiral Splatter. It's more of a dexterity puzzler. It's what I call it. Because you have to be precise.
Yeah, it looks really good.
It just made me mad. I've got 2 more.
Okay, yeah.
I've got 2 more. I've been playing Totes the Goat.
Okay.
Because I'm a sucker for anything that Atui puts out, and I'm gonna buy it.
Big shout out to Jules.
Yeah, and I love Totes the Goat. I loved it but I had it on my iPhone, and I never played it as much as I played it on the Switch.
Really?
I finished unlocking all the characters today, and that's not like a huge feat because there are some new characters in this game that weren't in the iOS release, and it's mainly characters from other Atui games like Mutant Mudds, and there's even the main character from Treasure Knots in there already. But Zeo Drifter is in there.
Nice.
But right now, my favorite character to play out right now is he looks like he's just called Hat, and it looks like the hat from New Donk City Mario costume.
Nice.
And it even has eyes on it. And when you beat a level, it's like I don't know. It's goofy and it's fun, and I could sit and play I play a game of Toads the Goat in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And this week, that has been all I've been able to play. So I've been playing a lot of that.
Yeah.
But there's a game that I also had my eye on in the eShop for a while, and it's on sale right now. It's 10% off. And again, everybody who listens to the show knows I like roguelikes. This one is called Heart and Slash. And it kind of slipped under my radar, and it was on my radar, and I knew about it, and then it kind of fell off. But it is a fully 3D roguelike brawler.
Okay.
Where you play as a robot named Heart, who is seeking to take the world back from the Robocalypse. Or the Robolution is what it's called. Okay. The Robolution. I like Robocalypse too. I think that's cool. But basically, the story is, he's creation, and all the creations rebel against the creator, except for Heart, and he wakes up like 100 years or 300 years after the Robolution, and gets rebuilt. And he, you progress through these fully 3D dungeons.
Is this what happens when Sonic loses?
I guess so.
This is the failure timeline.
The Robotnik Lucian. I don't know. But by the end of the first level, I had a sword and a trash can shield, trash can lid for a shield, and my body was made of a rubber duck.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. The controls they're a little jarring. They take a little bit to get used to, and the tutorial sucks so bad. It was the worst paced tutorial. It's slow, and it's just a couple of things are not very clear. But I love this game.
Oh, this is a very interesting art style too.
Yeah, it is. It's like a 3D pixelated art style. It almost looks like Legos in a way. But right now, like I said, it's 10% off on the North American eShop right now. And if you are looking for, if that would scratch the itch of some kind of dungeon crawler or something like that, or even if you like robots, It felt a little bit like I've been playing a lot of Bayonetta lately.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like a kind of some of that mechanic as well, like, evade, run in, hit them, evade, run in, hit them, that kind of thing.
Right.
It has a lot of pop-up. It has a pop-up element for air combos and different things like that. And you can have 3 weapons, and you can use the trigger buttons to switch between those as you're fighting, because you need to memorize enemies' weak points.
Mm-hmm.
So if a certain enemy is weak to fire, you need to remember that so you can kill it. If you have a fire, type weapon, then you can easily take care of them. Right. But yes, it's heart and slash. And then I finished Bayonetta, and I'm going to play Bayonetta 2, but I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I don't get it.
Okay.
I don't get it. I played this first game, and I don't understand why this character is so popular.
Okay.
And I know that's going to make some of our listeners upset, because they've already been like, so you're not going to play Bayonetta 3? Because I said something about it in Discord, and I may not. I probably will, because I like the beat 'em up style genre, but the story makes absolutely no sense. And there's story beats that need to make sense, and they don't explain it to you until the last 15 minutes of the game. And by then you're like, I don't care. I just want to fight the creepy angel face monsters and get out of here.
Right.
And I read a commentary online about it. And it was like, it's the only game I've ever played that makes you think you're at the end of the game 5 times before it finally ends it. And it's so right. It's so right. By the time you kill the last boss, you're like, oh my God.
If I remember right, Final Fantasy II gave me that same thing. I thought it was game over. I was on the final boss 3 times before I finally did get to the final boss. Or at least I think it is, because I never could beat it, because I never leveled up my defense spells.
Yeah, I was so frustrated with this game, after I got it, because I'm okay at it, but I kept dying. And then this week I was like, I've got to finish some games in my backlog. Bayonetta, I just need to mindlessly press buttons for a while because of the week I've had. And so I started up, and I did two things that added to the enjoyment. First one was I switched it to easy mode, which underneath says automatic, and it's true. It automatically does combos for you. It's fantastic. You really don't even have to think about it. You just push buttons, and she kills everything on the screen. And it's great therapy. And the second thing that I did was I switched her to the Peach costume, which changes all of the things where the big demon arms come through, the portals and stuff. Mm-hmm. They're Bowser.
Nice.
And it changes all the pickups to coins.
Nice.
With authentic Mario coin sounds. And I was like, okay, now I'm enjoying this now. So that's probably how I'm going to play all of Bayonetta 2. I'm not even going to try it on normal. I'm just going to play it on easy and have fun beating the crap out of everything.
Nice.
And
excellent.
Getting confused with the story.
Yeah.
Well,
what about you, Justin? What have you been playing?
Well, actually, before we transition that, I just wanted to keep an eye. You mentioned Enter the Gungeon. I think every time you or Zach enter the Gungeon, an angel gets its wings, is I think how it works in some way. Just as an FYI, a public service announcement, Enter the Gungeon is on sale in the Nintendo North American eShop for 25% off. So if that's something that interests you.
It's less than $12 right now.
Yeah, so go on that. What have I been doing? So Marty, I am not going to pick up Flint Hook. And let me tell you why. I know this sounds crazy. I am going through a backlog purge. I am dedicating time to go through my backlog, and I literally have $25 credit on the eShop, which could easily be burnt, but I'm going through a purge. This is my thing. March and April, the games look a little sparse for things that interest me. I want to clear my backlog because I realize, much like probably the rest of you, I have a bunch of games that are 75% done, and I just need to finish them. So now there are some exceptions to that. Kirby being
one. You're buying
of them,
Kirby
because the entire family has been excited for that one. So I'm not going to punish the children because I'm making decisions.
Oh my God. No, think of the children.
Exactly. And the same with Labo. Same with Labo as well. But what have I finished? So I finished, actually last week we had Alex on from Zoink Games. So I finished Faye completely. Again, a fantastic game. If you have not, I would strongly pick that up. But the game I finished that I totally kind of sort of missed the boat, I shouldn't say that, is SteamWorld Dig 2. I finally finished that. And that is
a fantastic story, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. It ends very sharply.
It sure does.
I was like, oh, that is the end. Okay.
Can we say it?
I don't know.
I feel like we've had enough time.
Probably enough embargo. If you haven't finished SteamWorld Dig 2.
Well, that considering it, well, I guess if you haven't played it, you don't know, but this ends up being like a prequel to Heist.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. They blow up the world.
Yeah, and then go off to space. So
I love the way that they tied it all in.
Yeah, that was really well done.
And then I'm playing through, which you mentioned backlog. I need to finish Heist, but you can actually find what's its name? The little spark.
Oh, Fee.
Fee.
I think maybe I'm wrong. That was Fee. Fee, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a character.
Nice.
In SteamWorld Heist that was available for DLC that it was just when they went ahead and included him in the Switch version.
That's awesome. Yeah, so my objective is to go through my backlog. That is what I'm doing, and I am very dedicated. I'm going to hold off on purchasing games other than those two in March and April. I'll add stuff to a wish list, and if it comes up for sale, I'll buy it after in May. But I want to really truck through this backlog because I've got a ton of games that are like 75%, and I'm going to start cleaning up some of my storage on my Switch as well. So that's a little bit of a two-prong approach there. But I think with that, let's maybe jump into a little bit of our listener mail.
Well,
we've got a couple things.
Before we do, I wanted to mention one more thing.
Yes.
When I bought Bingo, I did it through the Nintendo website. Like, I buy most of my games through there.
Mm-hmm.
And then because I log in with my Nintendo Network ID or the Nintendo account now, it automatically gets sent to the device that it's meant for. So it took the currency from my gold coin stash by default. I didn't have to tell it to do so. So I thought that was kind of nice. And it gave me the option to not do that if I wanted to change it. So,
okay.
Very similar to like if you have Amazon credit, it'll use the Amazon credit first. But I don't know. I haven't tried buying a game from the eShop on the system yet to know if it does the same thing. Probably will. But I just thought I'd mention that. It was a pretty painless process to use the gold coins.
Hey, Justin, speaking of credit,
Yes.
you made a mistake last week, right?
I did. Yeah, this is actually going to tie into a little bit of the email that we got, but I did. So last week I purchased my Splatoon DLC via the North American eShop. However, the game was purchased over here in Ireland, and therefore it uses the Ireland account essentially that I would have established.
And this is why you have the $23 of credit, probably.
This is why I have the $23 of credit. Yeah. So I had a great help from a Nintendo representative. Had a phone call with them. Basically said I don't own the software, and they checked and they're like, oh yeah, you don't own the software for the North American side. I said no, and they were kind enough to refund it for me as well. So they definitely were able to do that. And as opposed to putting the refund back on my credit card, they gave me credit onto the account, which is fine. I can use that at some point as well. So big thanks to the Nintendo rep who helped me with that. I think his name was Patrick. And we had a good conversation about the direct that had occurred the day before as well. So big kudos to those.
So you're not getting the Splatoon DLC now?
Oh, no, I am. I'm just going to go pay for it on the European eShop. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to go repurchase it on the other side for the European, and the exchange rate is not great, so it's going to cost me a lot more. But yeah, that is that. So let's maybe jump into a little bit of our news. Jesse, did you get my message about pulling that voicemail?
Yeah, but I don't have a new way to play it on Skype like Zach would.
Okay.
And it's a 2-minute video clip, and I was able to read some of the transcript, but the transcript isn't always accurate, so I think this is something we should probably pre-listen to and maybe hit it next week.
I have pre-listened to it.
Oh, I haven't. So
okay.
So yeah, if you want to talk at it, I can add it in post.
Well, I mean, we can. Why don't we say this? Here's what we're gonna do. We're going to play the clip right now. Jesse, this is a clip from our good friend Adam over at Megadad. So let's play the clip.
Oh, you want to play that one?
Yeah, that's the one.
I didn't want to play that one.
That's the one I want to play.
Damn you. Okay.
All right. So Adam, we love having Adam ask these questions. So Adam, of course, asks if Eric is Big Spoon or Little Spoon, and what your favorite toothpaste is. So we'll throw that over to you, to Jesse. What's your favorite toothpaste, buddy?
Frankly, I don't even know what it is. I just use whatever my wife buys, and it seems to be different every time.
Yep. The kind of stock Colgate, probably, I would imagine, is pretty standard for everyone. And of course, the burning question that Adam's just asking out of curiosity is do you like to be Big Spoon or Little Spoon? He just wants to know.
Normally, I'm at least between me and my wife, which I am usually on the outside of the spoonage, but
sure,
there's been times when I was on the inside.
Sure, there you go. So I guess, Adam, what we're hearing here is there's lots of room for whatever works for you, buddy. Whatever works for Adam, we have some availability, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, I did read this transcript, and that's why I didn't want it to be played.
Have you listened to the?
I haven't listened to it yet. I just read the transcript.
Of course, and that's our good friend Adam from Megadad. So Adam, thank you very much for sending that in as well. We've got an actual. We do that other voicemail. We'll play that one actually next week, I think. But we will go straight to a mail that I don't believe we mentioned last week, and this one's from Nicholas Daly. And guys, it says, first off, guys, I love listening to the show each week, and you guys do a great job and really keep me up to date with all things Nintendo. I've been listening for almost a year, I guess, and I don't know if it's just me or not, but it seems like sports games don't really receive much love on the show. Now, I'll be the first to admit there aren't a ton of them. In fact, the only real sports game I can think of is FIFA, NBA Playgrounds, NBA 2K, and RBI Baseball. But as a kid, I grew up with sports titles on the NES, whether it was RBI Baseball, Tecmo Bowl, Double Dribble, Ring King. I'm hoping my little guy gets to experience that same thing, but I guess it all depends on third parties. Either way, you guys talk about the either way, you guys talked about the 2K install space, but really large, I remember, and a little bit about Playgrounds, but other than that, there isn't much as I can recall. If I missed it, I apologize. If not, do you guys have a lack of interest in sports? I can't be the only dad interested in these games, can I? Thanks, and as always, keep up the great work. Take care. And that's from Nick. So it's a great question, Nick. So we don't really cover a lot of sports games in here now. I guess in relation to, we always make the joke, hey, it's sports ball. So I don't think any of us are super, super sporty people. I will say that I'm excuse me, I enjoy sports. I do. That sounds like I'm really trying to convince you. I really do enjoy the sport. I'm a big rugby fan. That's kind of my sport to play. As a kid growing up, there wasn't many rugby games on video game consoles. As a matter of fact, I think the only ones came out on the PlayStation. I think it was PlayStation 2, but I had that a couple times. Of course, as a Canadian, you always own like a copy of NHL something, right? Whether it was NHL, 2004 or 94, you kind of always had a copy of that available. I played some Blades of Steel as a kid. Of course, a classic NES game as well. And I used to enjoy like SSX and Tricky, Snowboarding 180. Right, those were a couple of games. And I guess probably if I was like, what are the sports games I'm playing or enjoy playing? And I don't really know if it's necessarily sport, but I guess we could assume that. I kind of consider, to be honest, Mario Kart, I consider that a sport game. And I consider ARMS a sports games. Now, it's maybe not the traditional sports games like you mentioned here is FIFA and basketball and anything like that. I'm not really good at those games usually, and I don't. Those aren't games that seem to really pique my kids' interest as much, so I don't usually play them. And I played FIFA on the Switch when I was demoing it over in EGX, and I just had a heck of a hard time with that one. I just found it really just didn't scratch my itch, and I found I got more frustrated with it anyways. But Marty, you're a NBA Playgrounds Jam or fan. You had that one. You got the patch for it. What's your experience like with that?
So yeah, like I've played NBA Playgrounds and like I'm gonna be honest that I didn't put a lot of time into it, and I didn't put a lot of time into the enhanced version that's come out because, again, it just did not. Like, I like the concept of it, and I used to be a huge fan of NBA Jam back in the day, and that's honestly what I thought we were getting. And so Playgrounds, even in the enhanced version that they said, has had some upgrades and some tweaks, still feels a little technical to me. And I've always leaned more toward the arcade side of sports games. Mario Sports, NFL Blitz, NHL Hits, different things like that back in the day. Because I didn't grow up watching sports. In my house we didn't watch it. We didn't talk about it. My dad was not a sports fan. My mom was not a sports fan. So the only time I was around football was like Thanksgiving Day when my Uncle Valton would fall asleep in front of the TV after eating and wouldn't let anybody have the remote. The Lions would be playing every week.
He wants to watch his Cowboys lose. What do you expect?
Yeah. So, and like if you tried to take the remote from him, he would like wake up and be mad at you. Now, as an adult, I do like to watch like college football and things like that. But like as far as like sports games, I don't like. They're just not my jam. Like that's not. I don't know. And my kids aren't into them. Again, they're growing up in the same type of house that I grew up in where it's like a lot of sports are just not mentioned or not talked about. Now, we do end up at more sporting events than I ever did as a kid because being a student pastor, I go see my kids play. I'll go watch them play softball and baseball and football and basketball and volleyball and everything else in between. So, like, it's not that I don't mind it. It's just that when I do play games, that's not what I want to play. And so maybe, Justin, what we need to do is we need to, find one of our good, fine, and faithful Nintendo dads correspondents and that love sports and assign them to some of these games. I would love, and I say that, and I couple this with this statement that I would love it if sports games would make a full return to a Nintendo platform. Because I remember growing up in the era of the Super Nintendo where every big Madden, every big NHL, every big, NBA game came out on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I want to see that again. And I maybe we will now that the train is rolling, right? Like I fully expect.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that Madden will come back. If not this year, next year.
I think it's. I was about to say it's not very long before we see Madden, and I mean with FIFA sales being good on the Switch, I think we'll see another FIFA there. But like a great baseball game, because I know I have a buddy who bought RBI baseball and he said it was terrible. Yeah. And a lot of other people have said that too. But like just good quality games. Not that Mario Tennis is not going to be, but it can't just be that.
Right.
Right. So if like they all come back, then games for every genre, for every flavor, I'm happy with that. But like I would not be the person to cover that. Yeah. Because it'd be like, he shot a 2-pointer through the uprights and got a spike.
Sparks ball.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah, that's okay.
Growing up, I did watch a lot of sports. Didn't care for hockey or basketball, but we watched a lot of baseball and a lot of football. My mom would watch the Twins and the Vikings every chance she had. But back then I was athletic myself. Before my shape was round, I was in shape. So I ran track and field, and I never played any sports per se. Because I didn't have the throwing and catching coordination, but I still understood the rules, and in marching band, I was able to follow along what's going on in the football field, both in high school and in college, and so we don't really watch sports now like I used to. I'm not opposed to it if someone wants to watch it. Sure, turn it on, but normally just no one cares. Right. But I'm also, I liked the games when they were more arcadey. Like my first sports games would be like the baseball and football on the Intellivision. Right. And then the regular black box Nintendo baseball was kind of fun and kind of set the standard for most of the baseball games into N64 era. They all had the similar type of art style or how the HUD was designed and everything. So like I do remember like playing. I think I remember RBI baseball fondly, the NES one, not the newest one. But Baseball Simulator 1000, I think, was one of my favorite ones.
Right. Yeah.
And this is non-Nintendo, There was a version of MLB The Show that came out on PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 many years ago, where the home run, one of the levels in the home run derby was you playing on the dinner table, and like you were shrunk down and you were playing on either the dinner table or coffee table in your house. And this was like one where, like, if you hit certain things, it would cause effects to happen. Like you could break the TV, or you could break out a window, or hit the cat. And my roommate was a huge baseball fan in college, and we played the crap out of the game. Yeah. I was no good at like the regular baseball part, but now the home run derby. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up getting away from sports for a while, and then when I went during the the end of the N64 era, I picked up Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball like on a discount, and I felt it was too complicated for me. And of course they've only gotten more into the realm of simulation versus arcade, and I've not really don't care.
Yeah, that's fair. Good question about sports, though. Fantastic question. There are two more emails I want to hit too, because the last time it was just the three of us, and this is I enjoy our quality time, folks. We had Marty, you and I had blows. We threw fisticuffs down about the 3DS. Remember this?
We did.
I think you're still probably bruised and battered. I see you occasionally having ice packs. But what we do want to do is we had some people who joined in the conversation. I want to talk about that as well. So Sean puts in a email to us, and this is early March. So Sean, I apologize, we hadn't a chance to get this earlier. It says, "Hi Dad, I've listened to your comments concerning the 3DS with interest over the last couple of episodes. I too have found myself conflicted over its future. I have been a huge DS fan since the 2006 when I picked up an imported turquoise DS Lite following their launch in early 2006. I hate to think the number of different models I have owned over the years. Well, it's the PSP, and in its life, the Vita were trying to emulate consoles' experiences. The DS and 3DS were able to produce games that were truly unique. In that sense, I wonder if the relatively low power in comparison to Sony's counterparts forced game developers to think outside the box. I have very fond memories of Layton and Ace Attorney series and other games such as Ghost Trick, Elite Beat Agents, Trauma Center, Luigi's Mansion 2, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit's Track, Bowser's Inside Story, and so many more. I'm not prepared to see the 3DS confined to history. At the same time, I wonder if any future offerings are better being released on the Nintendo Switch, a la Samus Returns. I still pick up my 3DS ever so often, but the Switch is now my console now. Is my go-to console now. I wonder if you have similar feelings regarding Nintendo's clamshell and what you might would like to see come over to the Switch, be it the games or features of the operating system. And finally, just to say that you guys are fantastic. I listen and look forward to your podcast every week, and I look forward to more of the same. This is from Sean from the UK. Sean, thank you so much. Those very kind words. We appreciate that.
Ghost Trick needs a remaster.
Ghost Trick. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I played that and it was fun, and I don't think a lot of people played it. I think it might have been one of those harder to find games, just like the original Radiant Historia. But that's a game that it's humorous.
Right. And I guess, Sean, I would say that, good news for you. I mean, obviously, your email, was sent into us on March 1st. A couple days later, we got the direct. So it does look like the 3DS still has a future into 2018 and 2019. Cough, cough. I told you all this, but no one decided to listen to me. Not that I'm bragging. # I'm totally bragging. But it does appear that there are definitely some life left into it as well, and some games that we'll be definitely downloading and playing. As for what features I'd like to see moved over, or maybe games, not so much games. And I mean, every time we can argue, oh, that game should be over on the. Actually, I kind of wish Luigi's Mansion was over on the Switch, but I'm okay with the fact that I'll get it on the 3DS. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. For features, I would love to actually and I think we've talked about this before, folders, right? They have it on the 3DS. Do that. Backgrounds and themes, do that on the Switch. And then I think, Marty, you've talked about it before, being able to save that data right onto the micro SD.
Yeah.
Right? Those are things that the 3DS already does that should be very easily done on the Switch. I think if you make those slight changes, I mean, it's not going to be a system killer of the 3DS, but I think it's like these are things that the reason that we like it so much or want it so much is because it works really well on the 3DS. So we just want some of those features that work well. And I know it sounds silly, but like themes, like I know that when Faye came out on the PlayStation Store, like you got a theme with it, and it, it's just a theme for the, you can put on your display or whatever. But why isn't there a Kirby theme? Why isn't there a theme for every game that comes out? And it helps. You do that with some matching Joy-Cons, and it looks real slick. So I don't know.
I want the gameplay tracker from 3DS on the Switch.
There you go. Yeah, that'd be a good one too.
Gameplay tracker, and I may get crucified for saying this, but Street Pass.
Oh, okay.
Or some form of it that would come over to the Switch.
Okay.
Because I think that was like, I remember hearing about Street Pass and Spot Pass for the first time and going, whoa, that's super cool. Yeah. Right? But Nintendo, I highly doubt that's ever going to happen. I mean, mainly because they already are killing it, but the de-emphasizing of Mii's,
mm-hmm.
which were a huge part of Street Pass, showing who you'd passed and everything. But I mean, just the ability to have that kind of, hey, there's a Switch around, and they're trying to do that with add your friend or add locally or whatever. But I think they could expand out on that.
Yeah, outside of Japan, I don't know if Street Pass had any level of success, outside of like organized groups, like people at E3 everyone got hammered with them, but outside of that, I very rarely would get 2 or 3 hits a month.
Yeah.
Well, it was good for cons. I know, like a lot of people going to like Penny Arcade Expo and everything, they would get a ton of
as I said, hits. Organized events.
Yeah, but whenever I traveled, I was traveling usually from the U.S. From Canada over to like Boston, and I'd be going through Calgary International, and I go through Toronto and then into Boston. And I would have my 3DS turned on. I'd turn on before I got to Calgary. By the time I got to Boston, I would usually have 6 to 10 Street Passes ready that I connected as I walked through major airports.
Yeah, I used to as well, but last time I traveled, I literally didn't get a single hit.
Yeah. It's kind of part of that. So that's it's a great email there. We're gonna move on to another email about the 3DS, and I think this one has got a little bit of heat behind it, Marty. So this person may be in your camp for sure. This is from Leo Wright, and the title of the email is "Sorry I'm behind, but I cannot listen to this anymore." So, dear Nintendo Dads, I love your show and usually listen with my 3 kids. Today, however, I must pipe in. I'm a little behind and listen to episode 168. You're discussing the pros and cons of continuing to actively support the 3DS. First of all, I agree with the idea that any 3DS game that was at least halfway through the dev cycle when Switch launched a year ago should be finished. But that's about the only thing I couldn't agree with you on. The question was asked, if the next amazing game of significance is released on the 3DS, will you walk away simply because it's a 3DS and not the Switch? The answer, yes. My proof, Samus Returns. I purchased the special edition and the amiibo and then just sat on my desk. I kept telling myself I really need to play it, but it never happened. After 6 months without so much as even opening the package, I sold them. I would really like to play the game, and I hope that Nintendo is working on getting it ported to the Switch. Yes, I do realize that that is not likely. Next, I'm not saying that Nintendo should stop selling the 3DS and old games. In fact, they should sell us. They should do a new print run of the very best 3DS and DS games and sell them for $25, and that doesn't require dev resources and should be that should be going to going towards Switch games. And ceasing to develop 3DS games doesn't hurt Kimishimo's desire to market the 3DS to new gamers, as they have never played the 3DS or DS games. Even better, 3DS systems, instead of coming out with a new copy of Mario Kart 7, should come with a $30 eShop card so that people will see that they can purchase and download any one of 100 games. Finally, you talk about seeing kids walk down the street playing the Nintendo, and when it was I'm going to assume they're talking about the Nintendo Switch, and when it was a 3DS you would smile, and when it's a Switch you cringe because they'll trip and break it. Are you kidding me? The Switch is so much more durable than the 3DS. The 3DS has had the hinges that will break if the kid drops and falls, but the Switch is incredibly durable. Go search YouTube videos and you'll find that lots of people throwing their Switch on the concrete and dropping them from 10 plus feet in the air without any problems. The screen won't even crack, as it's plastic, much like just like the 3DS screen. Sorry for the rant, but I just couldn't hold back my peace anymore. The 3DS is great, and I bought 4 of them, but the Switch is better and should receive all of Nintendo's dev support. Thanks, Leo.
It kind of supports what I said before, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Again, 3DS sold well last year because of new hardware, but no one wants to buy the software.
Yeah.
People want the hardware, but don't want the software.
Yeah. I'm going to throw
kind enough to send a message in about getting a refund back for the Splatoon, which thank you for that information.
Yeah. I want to throw this in there just kind of as fuel on the fire for this discussion that apparently we're going down to again, and I'm fine with this. I'm ready for this. We had an email come in from Brandon, and he says this: I want to pipe in on the relevance of the 3DS. I work in electronics at retail. We still sell a lot of 3DS games. Most of the people buying the 3DS today are not diehards like us. They see games and they have no idea how old they are. The lack of regular releases isn't phasing them. They are buying back catalog. Keep in mind, casuals make up most of the market.
Okay. Good to know.
So here's a guy who works in retail. I mean, we have two sides of this, right? We have people who are saying, well, the hardware is selling. Now he's saying the software is selling. I think this is where you have to go to actual
old
data.
Software is selling. These people aren't looking for the new latest and greatest.
No.
People who are looking for the latest and greatest want it on the Switch.
This is my question, and I'm gonna say this, and Justin, then you can have it, and you can beat me up or whatever. Put yourself in a kid's shoes, in right now, in where we stand right now. Are you asking for? You're going to ask for a new game system? Are you going to ask for a Nintendo Switch? Or are you going to ask for a 3DS?
You'd ask for a Switch.
You'd ask for a Switch, and the reason for that is why? Because it's the new hotness, right?
Yeah.
It's got Mario Kart. It's got Splatoon. It's got the new Mario. It's got the new Zelda that everybody's talking about, and that's where I think that's where I think the discussion is. I mean, old diehards like us, we're looking at Nintendo's 3DS releases for 2018 and 2019, and we're going, okay, this is cool. Luigi's Mansion, WarioWare. I watched a direct with my son last week, and they pretty much could have cut that 3DS part off except for Luigi's Mansion.
Right.
Because Luigi's his favorite Nintendo character. I don't know why. I guess it's because he ain't got no raisin. That's how we say it here in the South.
Nice.
At least it's not Yoshi. But anyway, if you like Yoshi, I'm sorry. Sorry, you like Yoshi. The 3DS for him, it's done. It's done. It's dead. He's got my old white 3DS, or the new 3DS that's old now.
Sure.
He's got that, and he likes it. He plays it, but when we're on trips, you know what he says? Hey, Dad, did you bring your Switch?
Yeah.
I want to play Switch. And honestly, the last game he asked for the 3DS was Minecraft.
Right.
And he didn't get it because I was like, dude, you already have it. We can just take it. We can play it on the Switch.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt. I think, it's, yeah. I mean, we could cycle back this argument again. This becomes a 5-hour episode, which we're not going to do. I do think there is an ecosystem in a world, and I think, and to be honest, let's just be straight. Nintendo's already told us these two things are still going to exist. Yeah, they've blatantly told us that. So
yeah,
my son's willing to.
My son's kind of, I think, is on the weird side. Yeah, he has a Switch. He's played Zelda. He's played a good chunk of my copy of Odyssey because I bought it digitally. But he plays with 3DSs the most just because of his shiny hunting in Pokemon. That's what he does most of the time. And when he's doing it, he's not doing it on one device. He's got at minimum 2 devices, and I've seen him play 5 at once. 5 3DSs in front of him, ranging from XL, regular size, 2DS, and it's just bonkers watching him do this. But he has the patience to do all that grinding, which I never did.
Yeah. Marty, what were you going to say?
I guess when I think about 3DS, here's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm between done with it. I feel stuck between done with it and not done with it, because they did catch my attention with a couple of the games in the direct, right? With Luigi's Mansion, with Wario. But most of what they showed, and this is for me, maybe not for everybody, but for me, would not have made me say, okay, I really need to have one of these if I don't already have one. You get what I'm saying? I mean, 5 titles, and I think didn't we say like 4 out of the 5 announced reports?
Yeah.
Or were rehashes. So you have one new title, which is Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers.
Yeah.
And that just did not make me say, hey, this is, and let's look at the other issue here too. Most indie devs have already switched all of their resources to developing for Switch.
Yeah.
And for a while, indies were going, I mean, there was a bunch of crap on the 3DS.
Yeah. Well, then we found the example of Chicken Wiggle that did poorly on 3DS because people wanted it on Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be coming after the Kickstarter.
I think
I'm hoping that gets funded.
I think a few years down the road, and I'm saying, you know, by a few, I'm like 4 or 5 years down the road, we may see Samus Returns on the Switch.
Fair enough. All right, guys, we're gonna end the podcast there. We're in almost 2.5 hours. But guys, let's awesome conversation. Thank you for sending those emails. Good questions. Awesome, guys. We have such an amazing community, community that supports us. Marty, where do we need to direct people? Because there's a bunch of stuff that's actually coming out on our channel. There's some Patreon stuff. What do we need to do, Marty? Let's get some direction.
So be looking out. Of course, by the time you're hearing this video is up on YouTube. The podcast is out on iTunes. My Ask Me Anything comes out on Saturday. You need to be looking out late weekend, early part of next week for our coverage on Kirby Star Allies. Which is going to be super fun. And then all kinds of other things we've got coming down the pike. We have some amazing community creators who are working on reviews right now. In fact, let me just go ahead and call some of this out, that we're actually getting video reviews from our community creators, but we're also getting written reviews from our community creators that you need to go over and read on VGTribune.com. And you can see all of those folks over there. And these are folks who don't have the ability to do video capture, video putting things together like we do. But they're taking their time and they're putting in reviews, and they're doing an amazing job.
There are 2 reviews in now, and apparently 2 in the hopper waiting for me to get around to posting them. But I've had no time in the last week, so I hope to do that this weekend.
So there's all kinds of stuff going to be coming in now. Patrons, to Ask Me Anything is available only for patrons. All right, that's not going to be on YouTube. It's only going to be on Patreon.com. You're going to get a link on that sent to your email on Saturday morning, so go check that out. Have fun with it. Justin, I went back and watched your video right before I did mine, and you were about 28 minutes long on those questions.
Yep.
The video total. So, and like I recorded mine, I was like, and my wife read the questions to me, and I was answering them. And she was like, Marty, this is 30 minutes long. And I'm like, well, Justin's was 28, so it's okay.
There you go.
It took me 3 hours to upload it to YouTube. So thanks, guys.
Ouch.
But it'll be there. Enjoy that. And then in a couple of weeks, we're gonna be putting out some details here for our Patreon hangout for the month of March. So be watching for that. And then we are going to give away. I'm just going to announce this. It's coming. Here it is. Look at this. We got a new giveaway that's coming soon. We're going to be giving away this set of Joy-Cons to one lucky listener here very soon.
And those are the Splatoon Joy-Cons for those who are not watching.
This is the American version. This is not the Japanese version. So there's swap colors. That's going to be going to one lucky listener, and we're cooking up ideas about how we're going to give that away right now. So, and then one last thing, very, very soon we'll be recording our retro rewind for Final Fantasy 3/6, whatever you want to call it. So be on the lookout for that.
And so we'll have a vote up for our new one, obviously coming out right away.
Yes,
also. So
absolutely, very soon.
So guys, there are a ton of content coming out there, and I would actually recommend. I do want to throw some shout outs that way as well. Marty talked about the content creators program that we have for Patreon folks, and we have some amazing written reviews. We have some awesome video reviews that have gone up recently as well. We had one for Midnight Deluxe that came up recently, Twin Robots that came up recently, Operation Tokyo that came up. So guys, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, I would highly recommend it. We are almost putting out videos almost daily now. So head over to Nintendo Dads on YouTube, click that subscribe button, and make sure you're kind of tuned in for everything that we're doing. So let's start rounding it out, guys. Thanks again so much for listening. And big thanks to our executive Patreon producers. That is Dave and Chris. Guys, you guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you to every Patreon supporter. You guys help this keep going every single day. If you want to support us, head over to patreon.com/NintendoDads. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and that's all at Nintendo Dads. If you want to email in a question, comment, concern, anything you want to do, or a voice memo, send it over to nintendodads@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/NintendoDads. Of course, YouTube, as I mentioned, click that subscribe button, youtube.com/NintendoDads. And just like Adam did today, you can leave a voicemail. That's 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. Big thanks to OC Remix, and so that's music you're going to hear throughout the show. And also huge thank you to Filip Miucin from NVC for joining us today for this awesome interview, guys. We've got more amazing guests lined up for us in 2018. We're so excited. And Filip, thank you so much for your time. It was awesome. Of course, if you want to change the world, head over to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or VG Tribune. Leave us those 5-star reviews. That does absolutely change the world. And subscribe to our podcast. Guys, for myself, for Marty, for Jesse, for an absent Zach, and big thank you again to our guest, Filip Miucin. Guys, thanks very much for listening. Bye-bye.